welcome to another episode of the Comicsy Podcast, the official podcast of Comicsy.com. My name is Joseph, and this is episode number 20 on the program today. Angela and I are talking about the season of WandaVision that just wrapped up on Disney+. This is the first Marvel TV show. We've got Falcon and the Winter Soldier on TV now. This episode's a little bit late coming up. WandaVision wrapped up about 2-3 weeks ago now, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier has debuted. This is going to be a little bit of a longer intro than normal because I just wanted to sort of clear up some of my thoughts on WandaVision. You'll listen to the episode and you'll hear what I have to say in there, but it's kind of interesting. Answer and I sort of get into our feelings about what we wanted and expected from the show and sort of where we're coming from with those expectations. Angela's a little bit newer to the Marvel Universe, right? Has seen a bunch of the movies, has seen a lot of the recent stuff. We read the comic a few episodes back just to sort of prepare for those first couple of episodes of WandaVision. And then I'm sort of coming at it more from the comic reader, really heavily invested in kind of all these movies, something I find a lot of enjoyment in. And so I think those sort of different levels of engagement lead to different feelings about how this season went and where it started and where it ended up. I think I maybe soured her a little bit on the whole season, which I really didn't mean to. And, as I was going back and listening to the episode in the edit, I don't feel as negative as I maybe sound, right? If I'm sitting here right now, and even back then, right, I don't feel negative about this season. It wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, but I enjoyed watching it every week. I looked forward to watching it. I'm glad I got to see it, and I'm glad they've made this transition into TV, and that we're getting this new sort of format of this superhero stuff that I really like. So, one of the things, just to sort of clarify some of my thoughts before you go and listen to the episode, one of the things, or perhaps the biggest thing that I was disappointed by, is Wanda is a character we don't know a lot about in terms of the movies, right? We talk about this a little bit, but they don't exactly know how to deal with it, right? In Civil War, they kind of lock her up, right? She makes a mistake, they lock her up, and it leads to this whole thing. It's a character that we don't have a lot of interiority with, right? We don't have a lot of interiority with lots of the characters, but she's not one that has her own movie, right? So we've never gotten that from her. And so in those movies, right, she kind of is one note. And this TV show was really going to be an opportunity for us to see, right, what does she feel about everything that she's gone through, right? Because she has gone through Civil War, and she's gone through Endgame and the blip and all of that. And so sort of, how does this character feel about everything that has happened? And those first 3 episodes are really interesting because it's this sort of sitcom format, right? They do a really good job recreating all those sitcoms with the look and the set design and the costumes and the music and the lighting and everything. And there is this sort of darkness or sort of disturbed, right? There is this sense that something is wrong running throughout those episodes, right? And you're sort of getting this idea, this is something that is manifesting, that Wanda is manifesting, right? This is coming from her. She's dealing with something, right? Or she is trapped somewhere and she is dealing, right? She's dealing with something. She's trapped, or she has trapped herself, right? It ends up being more of the latter. She has trapped herself in this seemingly idyllic world, right? And why is this the world that she has trapped herself in, right? What does that say about who she is and how she feels about things right now and how she's relating to the world? And I think those first couple of episodes are like, we're going to get that slowly, right? We're getting that drip by drip. And then episode 4 or 5 and on, right? It just kind of, the sort of weirdness that is in those first couple of episodes is just steamrolled by the machine that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that is really disappointing, or at least I found that really disappointing. And I think that is where the frustration that you're going to hear in this episode a little bit. And again, as I was recording that episode, I did actually feel that bad about it. But any frustration you hear in the episode from me, and I guess you can decide how you think I feel, because I as I was recording, I wasn't really sure. I think I was talking myself into being more negative than I really was. But that's where it comes from, right? Wishing that they had sort of been able to explore what they started working on in those first 3 episodes, and it didn't have to succumb to the machine of the MCU, right? Could they find a way for them to coexist, or for this to exist a little bit apart? And something else that we talk about in here, I was reading, Vulture did really good weekly recaps of this, and they had a sort of a writer roundtable after episode 5 with a bunch of writers who were watching the show. And one thing that came up in there is same kind of thing I was kind of saying before, right? Wanda has been one note. This was an opportunity to expand this character, but they just made her defined by her grief, right? And one of the writers mentioned how that's a thing that happens with a lot of female characters, a lot of women characters, right? They're sort of defined by their grief, and oftentimes it's grief for a man, right? And this was kind of just doing that same thing, right? And they did that after episode 5, and by the end of the show, I think it becomes more complicated than that, but it comes in a deluge, I think I'm saying that word correctly, rather than in sort of the interesting way that they were playing with genre in those first couple of episodes, right? I think I forget if it's 7 or 8, but the sort of big bad of the series, her and Wanda spend that whole episode together sort of going through Wanda's past, and it's this very meta show where the villain is sort of narrating, oh, you're doing this because of this, but not fully. I need to learn a little bit more about why you're doing this. So let's go see another scene from your past, right? So you see all these various scenes from your past, and she's sort of narrating like, okay, that's a start. Oh, now I've learned a little bit more. Oh, that's it. Now we have the whole picture, right? And so we just are inundated, or they just throw all of that at you in one episode, right? Instead of doing it in a more interesting way, which is, I think that episode specifically, and then some stuff related to the ending, is what frustrated me, right? I think actually the idea that Wanda found comfort and safety in the world that she imagined, those people she saw on the TV, the world she imagined they lived in, finding safety and comfort, I think that's really interesting. And I think they were getting at that in an interesting way. And how is she carry that forward with her to the future? But then they just sort of lay it all on you in a pretty straightforward way. And I think that's what I was disappointed by. And, but that doesn't change that I enjoy this show. And just take that into as you listen to the episode. Sorry, this intro went a little bit long, but just sort of wanted to get in front of it and preface and say, I'm actually not that negative if I sound that negative. I was trying to figure out how I felt in the recording, and I don't think I quite was as succinct and articulate as I wanted to be. So just kind of wanted some of my feelings. But this is a really interesting episode, right? Because Angela is really coming from a different place, and I enjoyed really getting into this with her. She challenged me on a couple of these points, so that was really fun to be a part of. But I won't take up too much more of your time. You're going to hear Angela and I talk about the full season of WandaVision after this short break. I feel like we don't actually want to do this one.
Let's just chat. What if we just had a chatting one?
Well, I think we need to talk, because I've been thinking about it a lot, right? Like, because we were supposed to do this last week, and then we put it off. So now we're doing it today. So the episode will be a little bit late. That's fine. But I rewatched. I was at the end of last week. I was like, oh, I'll just like have it on and rewatch it all in the background, because I started out pretty positive on the show, and I think got more negative as it went on. Maybe not more negative. I thought the show got less interesting, and then I rewatched 7 and 8 I rewatched 8 and 9 today just to be like the order that things happened in. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. I didn't find those ending episodes as interesting as those first. I think those first 3, right? Because in episode 4, you really figure out. Episode 4 is the first one that at the end of episode 3, she kicks Monica Rambeau outside of the thing, and you figure out what's going. And then episode 4, you figure out everything that's going on. It literally just tells you everything that's going on.
They didn't tell you it was Agatha all along, though.
No, it didn't tell you it was Agatha all along, but you knew, but it wasn't all Agatha all along. She wasn't mind controlling people, or however that worked, right? She wasn't the one doing that. No. That was still Wanda. She was definitely encouraging it quite a bit, but she wasn't responsible for all of that.
No, I guess not.
Yeah. I don't know. How did your interest or enjoyment, how did that graph look for you? Because I know you started pretty high. Where did it go for you?
I mean, it was also something I looked forward to. Was it something that I put in priority in my mind to watch? No.
You said it wasn't something you look forward to, or it was?
It was something I looked forward to, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, it's Friday, gotta turn on Disney, go on Disney Plus. I think it's because it was building up to ooh, something big is gonna happen, or everything's going to be revealed, or like, I feel like there was a lot of anticipation for what was going to happen, and then once it actually happened, it was like, okay, this is boring.
So I had a
Like,
pretty similar thing. Oh, go ahead.
Like, once Pietro came and he was like all weird, I was like, this is...
Yeah. So have you seen or did you read about that at all?
And I said something, people were making fun of his name.
Pietro? Oh.
No, the actor's name.
Oh, like in the show it was something Boner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty good. So in the X-Men movies, have you seen like the most recent X-Men movies?
I don't watch X-Men.
Okay. So Wanda's brother is Quicksilver, right? He's super fast. And in the comic books, they're both actually mutants, right? They're both like, they've been a part of the X team, or they've been like enemies of the X team.
Oh, yeah,
of the X-Men. And in the X-Men movies, right, that, you know, were made by Fox, now they're made by Disney. He was Quicksilver. That guy played Quicksilver, right? So there was like a Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, and then there was Quicksilver in Age of Ultron. So it was a pretty big deal when he showed up, because it was like, people were wondering, right? People know at some point the X-Men are going to come into the Marvel movies because Disney owns that now. Mm-hmm. And people were like, when he showed up, people were like, oh, is this the point when that's happening? And it still might be used as that in the future, but it didn't, at least that didn't happen here. But that was kind of exciting when he showed up. But so like why so you got less excited as the series went on just to see those new episodes?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you do you know why specifically, or was it just that thing of like seeing like the anticipation of the thing happening isn't as interesting when the thing actually started to happen?
Yeah, because I feel like it moved like slow and fast at the same time.
What do you mean?
Like, Vision was like doing his thing where he's trying to figure out what's going on. Neighbors were acting weird. And then like, I guess I was honestly a bit disappointed when like the whole Agatha thing happened, because I was just like, oh, this isn't even like, I don't know, it just wasn't what I was expecting.
What were you expecting, or what were you hoping?
I don't know. I thought that, like, I don't know. I do have a lot of questions, though.
Okay. What are your questions?
Okay, so
That's good. Let's do this.
Yeah. Okay, so like, White Vision and Red Vision have a fight, and then Red Vision gives White Vision all of his memories. And then, like, where the heck does White Vision go? Is he the real Vision? Like, what's up with that?
Well, so that's their sort of little philosophical debate, right?
Is that so that they can bring Vision back later if they want?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely, right? So it's going to be really easy for them to either bring him straight back, or even just in a further movie just be like, we had Vision's body, right? Because they had his body, and they were like, we figured out how to put it back together. And so it's going to be pretty easy at some point to just say, because Wanda has the same energy that the Mind Stone does, which is like what was in his forehead and originally, she at some point in the past just sort of powered him up, right? It's going to be pretty easy for them to do that and bring him back when they want.
See, that's so lame. Like, it's okay for things to end.
Yeah, absolutely, right? It's, he's like an interesting character. I don't know that the movies haven't really done anything interesting with him, right? I think there was potential. I think at the end of Age of Ultron, he has a pretty, I don't know, if you remember right at the end when he has to like go kill the last like Ultron bot, and they have sort of that conversation about a thing isn't beautiful because it lasts, and how like these two like robots, synthezoids, whatever you want to call them, right, that have this sort of detachment, right? They know everything, right? They know all the information because they like downloaded the internet as soon as they were created. But like that sort of difference between like, I don't know if it's the difference between knowing and understanding, but just the appreciation for the mess that is humanity, right? There's something kind of in that conversation, but right, they never, after that, in like any of the event, because I think he only shows up in the Avengers movies, right? They never went anywhere else like interesting with him, right? He was just Wanda's, like, they were stuck together in the Avengers compound, and then he sided with Tony Stark in Civil War, I think. I forget. I'm pretty sure, yeah, because she sided with Captain America and he sided with Tony Stark, but I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be really easy for them to bring him back at some point off of that. But what other questions you got? Oh,
So I know that, like, I've been watching, like, interviews or whatever, and Elizabeth Olsen said that she's in the process of filming Doctor Strange. So does she, like, are we to assume that she's going to, like, find Doctor Strange to, like, hone in her powers, and that's what the movie's gonna be about? Or, like...
well, so this is one of the questions I had. I think this is the question I had at the end of the document, right? Like, Doctor Strange, and I know we've only seen, right, we've seen one of his, like, solo movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot more interesting hand movements than he's doing, like, flips and twists and shit, and versus what she's just kind of, like, vaguely flexing her fingers to do
like,
her
bending
magic
backwards.
Yeah, I saw that, right? She, like, when she, like, the moment when she, like, manifests vision, she's, like, bent in half backwards.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous, but his magic felt right. So with Thor, right? So Thor is kind of magic, but there's that moment in the second Thor movie when they kind of explain it, when because that's when Jane, she has she has the ether inside of her and it's making her sick, and she, like, lays down on, like, their version of an MRI machine, and they explain it in that moment as, like, Thor's version of magic is just, like, really advanced technology that seems like magic to us. And Doctor Strange always felt closer to that, right? That his was, like, and I know he has, like, a magic cloak. Maybe this is a dumb thing to say. He has, like, a magic cloak, and he, like, there's literally, like, books of spells and stuff. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, because I was thinking the magic in this show seemed different somehow to the magic in Doctor Strange. But now that I'm thinking about it, right, because he goes to that temple and he, like, sits there and he's, like, reading and studying those books. So maybe it is really, maybe it's more similar now that I actually think about it. But I think you're right. It's gonna be really. Did you see? I just saw it today because I didn't watch the credits all the way through. Did you watch the credits the last episode all the way through?
I might have. What happened?
Did you see this scene? She's, like, in some, like, cottage. It's, like, very remote. She's all by herself.
Oh,
did you see this scene?
Okay, man, if they want me to watch the ending scenes, then they gotta make it shorter.
Yeah. So there was two posts in the last episode. There's two post credits. The first one. Did you see the first one when that woman talks to Monica Rambeau in the movie theater, and then she's revealed to be a Skrull? Did you see that one?
No, I probably just didn't watch it.
Okay, so there's that one, which is, like, she's gonna go up and, because Monica Rambeau's mom knew Captain Marvel, so she'll go up and, like, deal with Captain Marvel in the next movie, or, like, work with Captain Marvel. But then there's another one at the end of, like, another set of credits, and you're like, the camera's, like, panning along this lake, and you see a cottage in the distance, and then you see Wanda sitting on the steps, and then the camera pauses, she gets up, walks inside, and then the camera moves past her to, like, a bedroom in the back, and it's sort of this, like, ethereal form of her floating in the air. Do you remember when Doctor Strange is floating in the air at the end of Infinity War? Because he's, like, going through all of those different realities. Yeah. She's sitting in the air very much like he's...
Is her head, like, moving really fast?
Well, she has a, like, book, so she's, like, leafing back and forth through the book kind of quickly. It's like very similar, right? Okay. But so, right, she's, like, manifesting this other form, and she's reading that. I forget if it's the Book of the Dead, whatever that book that Agatha had that said, that was, like, told, like, where the prophecy about the Scarlet Witch was. Mm-hmm. She's reading that book. So she's definitely, right, she's definitely setting up for, like, learning more about magic. And I think that's going to lead to a team up with Doctor Strange probably in that next movie. And I guess I don't know if that's going to be somehow part of what happened, of how they incorporate the X-Men. A lot of people have been saying, like, so in the comic book, she has, like, her magic is so powerful that she was able to, like, wipe out all of the X-Men. And people are wondering if they're going to kind of do it reverse in the movies, where her magic is so powerful that she kind of creates the X-Men. So, something to, like, they could go a bunch of different ways with it, but I think you're definitely right with a Doctor Strange team up.
Also, why was Monica Rambeau's eyes blue for a second? What's her deal?
So I don't know. I don't know enough about that character. I don't know if in the comics she has superpowers. She is a character in the comics. I don't know what she's about. I thought they were only it seemed like she only ever had powers when she was inside the hex. That's what
Yeah.
I thought. So I don't know if it was like a thing where she was sort of, but you remember when they said like, oh, you can't go back in there because it's changing your like DNA, right? It's changing on a molecular level.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so it definitely might be a more like permanent thing that gives her powers.
Maybe that's just their like backup superhero if they need one.
Oh, yeah, right? There's totally like a back door to like, right? It's just setting things up if they need to use that in a further
Because
movie,
they killed
right?
Iron Man, so they need to have more content. This is just making me cynical.
I don't know. I'm still definitely whenever that Black Widow movie finally comes out, like I'm definitely still gonna go see it. I'm not like off it, but I think something, and I think we talked about this when we did that preview episode. Something I was wondering is like, well, they're doing a certain type of movie or a certain type of storytelling in the movies, right? It's sort of these check in and check up, right? So the characters get their own individual movies, and we get a good check in with them, right? Where we see where they're at. They do some like ground laying for whatever is going to happen in the next like team up movie or in their next solo movie, right? And then we get these checkups when like the Avengers movies happen, right? Or if there's a crossover like Captain America Civil War, or they started doing it a little bit more with the Spider-Man movies where like Tony Stark was incorporated. And the way that the next Thor movie is going to have the Guardians of the Galaxy in it, they think. Or the Guardians movie is going to have Thor in it. There's going to be a crossover there. So, and so the movie had to tell us where this character is at now, but it also had set the groundwork for what's going. And I guess the thing that I was wondering about, could this TV show, could it kind of, because it had more time, right? Instead of 2 hours, you had like 4 or 5 hours. Could it tell a story that is a little bit smaller, a little bit more self-contained, and could it be a little bit more isolated from, not entirely isolated, I think that would be unreasonable, right? Because these movies do have to perpetuate themselves, so they have to set something up for the future. But could it be a little bit more specific in what's it about and how it's, how it deals with whatever characters are involved? And I think that is what we got in those first 3 episodes, right? I was really excited by like, clearly there is this sort of disconnect between what we're seeing and what's actually going on, right? There's some sort of disconnect, right? And it's sort of manifesting in these like old time multicam sitcoms back when there were 4 channels and literally everyone knew what those shows were. So it makes a ton of sense why shows like I Love Lucy or Bewitched or those big shows, right? Those got exported around the world. And so it makes sense why Wanda would have seen those shows, why they might be like important to her. Why is she reconnecting with those shows at this moment in her life? Like what has happened to her that like this is what she's manifesting right now, right? Or this is what she's trapped in right now. Because in those first couple episodes, it was still unsure if like, is she doing this or is she trapped in this somehow? But then as it went on, right, it became much more predictable, I think, right? And a much more generic, and Wanda's trapped everyone in this thing. She's sad about something, and the military is kind of here to take her in or deal with this situation, right? So we have to get the FBI agents, and we have to get like SHIELD, which is just whatever. It's just vague U.S. military running around, right? And so it has to sort of resort to that instead of getting more specific about like, why is Wanda doing this, right? Because at the end, the reason that we get why Wanda's doing this is like, she was really sad, understandably, right? She lost her parents, she lost her brother, she lost Vision, right? Like understandably very sad. Why is this a manifestation of her grief? Why is this the way that's manifesting right now? And I
feel like they may have maybe not answered it like the way that you would want to. I think they like kind of touched on it when they were going back in time and she was like watching the show with her parents. And then she was watching like a sitcom again with Vision in like the Avenger building. And like, I guess I interpreted it as like, that was like a safe thing for her,
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. Like, right, because you see, the TV shows up when she's watching with her parents. There's that, she's watching that TV show. I don't know what it is. It's those 2 little kids when she was trapped in that prison cell. And then she's lost Pietro, she's back at the Avengers compound, right? And TV is this sort of other thing that she sinks into, right? But I like, maybe this is unfair. Tell me what you think about this, right? When in the moments that I made my life, and I guess specifically I'm thinking about college. I didn't have a TV, but I had my computer. I knew where to find stuff online for free. I had like Netflix, right? And so I really sunk into, I think we've talked about this on the show a little bit before. College was a 3 years of my life when I went through like kind of intense depression, right? And the thing that kind of got me through was just like watching my shows on a weekly basis, right? Waiting for them to be uploaded or like new stuff to come out or like going back to old stuff. And so one of the things that I watched over and over again during that time was Community and Elementary, right? That's when like Elementary was still coming out, and like I watched that, and I don't care for procedurals at all, but I have so much time for that show, and I don't exactly know why. I love like Sherlock Holmes, and I guess someone could just be like, TV is just a comfort, right? It's just like sitting down and watching anything is really comforting, right? I guess I wonder, for me, I think it would have been a little bit more interesting, right? If it was like, oh, there's something about those like sitcoms that she watched when she was a kid, right? So like Bewitched, I Love Lucy, Mary Tyler Moore, right? So those first 3 episodes, and then like episode 4, right? I think it's like Mary Tyler Moore Show and like Dick Van Dyke. Now we think they're like very corny. They're like multi-camera sitcoms that are in front of a studio audience, and there's like a laugh track, right? Like this very specific type of TV show that is like very comforting to her because of those rhythms. That's the thing about like Community. I know the rhythms of that show so well, and like it just is, I just like fall into it so easily, even though I know what happens in every episode. And so if it had done more with these types of shows are really comforting to her just because of how she sank into them at moments of her life, right? And then like this is the sort of reality she's manifesting around her, right? But I think oh, go ahead.
You go.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think when they got to the end, right, and I think they were spoofing like Modern Family in one of those episodes, that was when not the facade, right, but the sort of like trappings of it being modeled after a TV show really lost me, because now we're just doing like modern stuff. This isn't, I don't know, that's when that sort of effect kind of lost a lot of impact for me.
Are you sure it's just because you don't like Modern Family?
No, I actually don't mind Modern Family. That show, I don't watch it, but I don't have anything against Modern Family, but I think it's not, a lot of stuff looks like Modern Family now, right?
I think because like there was that part in Vision when she was talking with Vision about how like, oh, like it's not that kind of show or whatever. I think that maybe touched on what you were saying a little bit of like why she was drawn to them. And like I guess that's why I think I could justify having Modern Family, because like yes, it was like going forward through time, but it was still that type of show where like nothing bad really happened.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of she was trying to have in her town as well.
I think you might be right. I don't, because you texted me, right? And I don't have the text, right? You texted me about how like it's about Wanda's grief, right? At the end, this thing is happening because Wanda's sad. And do you think it ever goes beyond it? Like Wanda, or like, I don't know, do you have any thoughts about like how her sadness was represented on this show?
I think that maybe her, like, how much she wanted that, like, normal life, you know, because, like, I guess what I see it is that, like, she lost her parents, she didn't have, like, a great childhood, a great time growing up, and then, like, she found Vision, she, like, fell in love with him, and then, like, she lost him, too, and I think that, like, especially when she goes to do that where Vision, like, bought the house for them to live in, and, like, she, like, starts the town or whatever, I think that, I guess I saw it as that, like, she wanted it, like, so badly, and she was, like, sad that, like, she never got it, and then maybe she felt that she would never have it, because, like, now Vision was gone.
Yeah, she loses her parents, right? And then they talk a couple times about like she joined this like, I don't know if it's like an anarchist or some sort of like group, right? Fighting to, you know, get the Avengers the Avengers police stay out of their country, probably. And then, right, so like that loss sort of spurred her to action, right? And then there's, you know, she loses Pietro, and, you know, it's this other sort of grief. I don't know, I wonder if maybe it's not so much the like this show's in particular's fault as much as like the Avengers, any of the Marvel movies have never known what to do with it, right? Because she loses Pietro, and the next time we see her, they right? I guess she's doing that mission at the start of Captain America Civil War, but then they instantly have to like lock her in a room, right? They have to lock her in that Avengers compound because they don't like trust her emotions, right? And then it's kind of, I don't know, I was just reading Vulture specifically, and I'll link to him. They were doing some like week by week recaps of it, and then they did like some conversations about it, right? And they talked a lot in those about like, is this sort of falling into the stereotype of like, they don't have to sort of give a female character more depth and just making her like full of grief, right? And I would say I don't think that's this movie's or this show specifically its fault, because I don't think, right, she showed up, she like ran around Age of Ultron, but then the next time she shows up they like lock her in a room because they don't know what to do with her and they think she's out of control or something, right? And then this one kind of proves it out where like she, and I think you're right, I think like the more favorable way to see it is like she is so sad because all these terrible things that happen that it like it's this sort of, the life that she wants literally explodes out of her, right? Like the life that she wants, or the life that is safe, right? I guess maybe if she's looking for safety because people that she loves seem to die. If she's looking for safety, right? There's safety in those shows where nothing bad ever really happens. But I don't know, part of me is like, I want to be very favorable with it. And part of me is like, I don't know if I really want to be favorable with my reading. I don't know. Where do you fall on that? Like,
I thought that was enough to just have it be like she was sad because of the life and then like she created it. Like I was content with just looking at it that way.
Okay. Yeah. I like just like, I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know where, like, I don't know if can you think back to the beginning? Like what are, like, I guess for any Marvel movie and if you can think back for this show specifically, like what are your expectations coming into this? Like, is your expectation to be like entertained? Are you like, were you expecting for this show, like kind of like I was saying, was like, oh, I want them to like do something a little bit different with their storytelling? Do you remember what your expectations were a little bit in that sense?
I don't know. I guess I wasn't really expecting it to be like very deep or anything.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I was like looking
maybe
for
you were.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're like, I want that a little bit more just because I don't know, I like these movies so much, and for the most part, right, and I wonder if like the movies, right, when you get like 3 movies a year, right, you get like one every 4 to 6 months or so, and it's just kind of okay if you're just really entertained for 2 hours, and then maybe you like listen to the podcast or you read about it for the next week, and then you just kind of wait for the next one, right? If it's okay if that 2 hours is just mostly entertaining stuff that you don't really have to think too hard about. But I think for this, where it was a week to week, and I was thinking about the progression, right? Where did they start, and how does this move forward? In that week to week, I think I wanted something a little bit more substantial, I guess. And I think it started out with this interesting idea of what is special about sort of those old sitcoms that a lot of people, right, older than us, because those are sitcoms from like the 50s and the 60s, but why were those so important to people? And where is the comfort that someone finds in them? And then, I don't know, as it went forward and it started being a little bit more about, what's actually going on, right? Because that sitcom framing gets less important, right? Because
it's not there in the final ones.
Yeah, it's not there in the final 2 episodes, I don't think. And even like episode 4, right? That's the first time we go outside of the hex.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of loses its impact. Do you agree with this, that like that sitcom framing loses its impact when you're cutting back and forth between like outside of the hex and inside of the hex?
I also think as it got more modern, it kind of lost it because then it just felt like a normal show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't know, I guess I was enjoying that show we had early on, so I was like a little disappointed when that changed. Just speaking about just to say something, right, I noticed, right, so that 4th episode where we go outside the hex, the name of the episode is literally "We Interrupt This Program," right? So they like, and they must have known what they were doing, right? They know that was a shift, right? But like that was the shift to like a different show, and I think, I think we have a little bit different ideas about like, did we enjoy it as much? But like, it's, yeah, once the like containment of that framing broke, right, it became less important. Eventually it just goes away, and it sort of calls into question why they did it at all. I don't know. But did you have a favorite like spoof like a TV show one. So I mean, so the first episode, and I like tried to find on the internet, I struggled for episode 5 exactly what it was like TV show was kind of spoofing, but the first one was I Love Lucy, episode 2 was Bewitched, episode 3 was the Brady Bunch, 4 was Mary Tyler Moore, 5 was Family Ties, 6 was Malcolm in the Middle, and the 7 was Modern Family. I don't know. Did you have a favorite, like, sort of one of those that they were?
I haven't seen any of those shows, so no.
You've seen Modern Family, haven't you?
Like, I've seen like clips of it, but I don't know who any of the characters are. I don't know who's related to who.
Oh, okay. I think Malcolm in the Middle is like kind of similar to The Middle. You've seen The Middle, right? That like little, yeah. I didn't love the whole episode. I already said I don't like when Wanda was like, I'm gonna have a like stay at home day, and she's kind of like frazzled or whatever. It's like, and she's like, why is she talking to the camera? And then in that, it was Agatha all along, like Agatha standing behind the camera. That's weird, but
I was like, how did you not see her? She was standing right there.
Do you remember? I really enjoyed Vision and Darcy's, like, the way they started out at the carnival. You remember that? They started out at the carnival.
Darcy.
Yeah, Darcy was good in this. I'm glad they brought her back.
Also, Asian Jim was also good. He's been getting a lot of attention all of a sudden.
So, yeah.
And like you start to realize that he was literally,
right?
He's been there all along. He's been in like everything.
He's been in those Ant-Man movies. What was I just... He was just on, we were watching Top Chef, and him and... I didn't know he was married to Ali Wong. But him and Ali Wong were like guest judges on an episode of Top Chef. And they were in that really good Did you see that Netflix movie, Always Be My Maybe? Yeah, they're so good in that movie. I love that. But I really enjoyed episode 7 when they're like coming back from the carnival, and it would like cut to Vision talking to camera, but they're like in a field somewhere, and he's sitting on one of those like director chairs. And then at the very end of the episode, he's like, wait, why am I sitting here talking to you? Like, I need to go. It very much broke it did a good job sort of making fun of like why any of those people are talking to a camera in like, they do that in Parks and Rec, right? Like people talk to the camera and it's like, is there a camera here or are you just at your job? But or like The Office, right? Modern Family, any of those. It made fun, like poking fun at that. I'd appreciate that. What else do we want to... Let's talk... I guess let's talk about the ending, because you threw something in there about the ending, right? So, you know, we can have different feelings about like, you know, how Monica... I don't know why I keep saying Monica. Wanda, there's Monica Rambeau's in here, but Wanda's like, you know, how does it represent her grief? Is it sort of relying on like tropes like of that get applied to a lot of female characters? Does it like do something that is, you know, maybe a little bit more interesting? Whatever. But like that last episode, right? So the hex breaks, the kids go away, Vision goes away, right? Because they were manifestations of her power, right? She was like manifesting them with her mind or her superpowers or whatever. And then all the people, right, the like curse on them breaks, right? And we got those scenes which were like moments, right? There wasn't any like horror in here, there wasn't anything scary, right? But even those scenes that we got, right, there's the scene with like when Vision was at work, right, people describing what it felt like to be in that, right? It's sort of terrifying, and to see how it is something that is like switched on and off and they have no control over, right? You get like that throughout the show, but then it breaks. And there's just sort of no consequences for anything that Wanda did, right? I think Monica says to her, because Monica's there, she's like, they'll never know what you did for them. They're only going to be concerned about what you did to them. I don't even know if she says that second part, right? I know she says
they won't know what you gave up for them.
Yeah, right? Because like Vision had to go away and her kids have to go away. And then I think Wanda says something like, I don't know if they'd care, right? And like, no, they absolutely wouldn't care because you mind controlled them all for like how long? Like, and then she just kind of flies away, right? It's kind of like, okay. And then the government rolls in and you know, she flies away, and it's like, I don't know, and not that there needs to be like consequences, but it's just like, what, they didn't even want to have the conversation, right? And I think this gets to part of the thing, like if you're really talking about how someone going through like sadness is, right? How does that affect the other people around you, right? Well, in this case, it affected this whole town, right? But the show's not like interested in like really anyone else's point of view other than Wanda's, and then she just gets to like leave. I don't know. Like I found that really disheartening that like no one, not a single character, right? Because there's a couple of like the townspeople that like showed up quite a bunch, right? That like we could have heard from, be like, yeah, I know who you are. Like it would be interesting to tell me like what you went through and sort of what you lost from this. But like it's not interested in that at all. Like where, I don't know, how did you feel about that ending?
Man, you're really good at making me not like things.
Well, no, I'm not trying to.
I was pretty impartial about this.
But you didn't know in here. Didn't you put the note in here? You said, what about the ending where Wanda just walked away from everything? Didn't you put that in here?
I didn't write anything.
Oh, I thought you put that in here. I don't know. Well, what did you think about that? I genuinely thought you put that in there.
No, you put that in there.
Oh, okay. Well, you have to have some opinion.
I mean, like, what are they gonna do? Lock her in jail? She's just gonna escape for the next movie? Like, I don't know.
No, but like, just acknowledging, right? Do you because Monica's saying they're never gonna know what you gave up for them doesn't, and then
it doesn't make what she did okay, right?
No, but it just doesn't even. No, I don't think anything could make what she did okay, right? Like I guess I don't know what like reconciliation or justice looks like in that sense, but it doesn't sort of place any value or like give any consideration to like what those people went through, right? Mm-hmm. We're only kind of concerned about what Wanda went through with that exchange. And I just think it would have been like kind of nice to be like, oh, something pretty horrible happened here to these people. But I don't think that ending acknowledges it. I don't know. You didn't feel that way watching it.
I didn't think about it.
You didn't think about it. But don't you think it's weird that she just flies away? Or not really?
Yeah,
like that seems about weird. Right. Okay. I think if you're go ahead.
I don't know. That is a little bit weird.
I think it seems appropriate if you're like, oh, this is a superhero movie and there's never really any consequences, right? For the heroes, right? They kind of end up fine and they get away, right? They are their own form of justice, but like...
Isn't that what Civil War was about?
Yeah, it is what Civil War was about, right? But like...
Well, they already did a movie on it.
No, I know, but I don't know. I don't know, because something I saw one person, I forget where I saw the person write about this, right? But they were talking about how, I think it's and I haven't seen any Hitchcock, so I might do this totally wrong. But do you know who Alfred Hitchcock is? Mm-hmm. I know he did like I think he did like The Crows. I know he did like some like thriller horror type movies, but a lot of them were like set in the suburbs, right? And that's actually a thing that's really common to a lot of horror movies, right? Where like there is this sort of strangeness, right? Because they're sort of isolated, because there's like this space, right? Things can sort of happen in the suburbs and like be hidden, right? And right, that's why like you like a movie like Get Out or something, right? Or a lot of like modern horror movies, especially movies that deal with like race, right? The suburbs often like very white, like, you know, white people have like left the cities, white flight to the suburbs, and what are the dynamics at play when Black people or people of color are in the suburbs, and how do white people respond to that? And so just sort of a lot of movies have like used that, right? And I think there's a little bit going on here in those early episodes with like, what is this sort of strangeness happening in this sort of idyllic place? And an ending, and I think the show could have leaned into that a little bit, and that would have been interesting. But even just an ending acknowledging that something weird and traumatic happened, and I don't know, I don't think it acknowledges that. And I don't mean to make you feel worse about this show. Is your opinion really going down on it?
No, but I'm sitting here and be like, it's not that deep, bro. It's just a Marvel.
Man, maybe I'm thinking about it all too much, aren't I? Yeah. I don't know. Where does this leave? I think maybe we'll wrap up here. Where does this leave you? So literally, as we record this, I'll get this out in the next couple of days. Friday, today's Monday, we're recording it. Friday, the next Marvel TV show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, starts. I don't know how many episodes, but it's a week-to-week thing. So Falcon is the guy with the wings. He hangs out with Captain America. And then Winter Soldier is the guy with the silver arm that used to be Captain America's best friend, Bucky Barnes.
Oh, I know who that Hawkeye is the guy with the arm. He was in Civil War, right? He was the one they were fighting with?
He was the one they were fighting over, yeah. So at the end of Endgame, he gives the shield to Sam, and it's kind of like you're Captain America now. And so like this show is like the adventures of Sam and Bucky, right? So Captain America won't be in it, but that show starts on Friday, which you didn't know about. I'm taking you didn't know that was happening.
Nope.
Okay,
nope.
well, like so.
I'm not watching it, by the way.
Okay, no, not for this, but like, oh, so you won't watch it at all?
Because it's just like, my thing is like, I'm not that big of a Marvel fan, but I am a Marvel fan because of those original characters. I don't care enough about the Marvel universe to start caring about more characters.
So what characters do you care about? What do you mean when you say that? Who are you talking about?
Like I've seen all the Iron Man movies. I'll watch the Doctor Strange movie. I don't know if there's like a Hawkeye thing.
There's going to be a Hawkeye TV show.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Like
Guardians?
Yeah. I have a hard time thinking of them as well because they're so stupid.
Yeah. What about Thor?
Yeah.
Thor? Okay.
But is it he like off on an island somewhere?
Yeah. He's out in space somewhere, I think.
Oh, he's with the Guardians.
Yeah. I don't know, right? Because he was in... You're talking about when he's like... he's in like Denmark or something, right? He's up in like...
He's a fisherman or something.
Yeah, he's up in that village. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do anything with that. What about Spider-Man? Where like...
I've never seen any of the Spider-Man movies.
Oh, okay.
So...
All right. Those are pretty good. Okay.
If they make like another Black Panther movie, if they make his sister part of like more of a main character or something, like I'll watch that. But it's just like, I'm good.
Okay.
I can go about my life not knowing about what happens next.
So why do you think you connected to those like original characters but haven't cared so much about as it's sort of spread out, as the mythology of it has spread out? Why do you think you've cared more about those original characters?
I don't know. I think maybe I'm just because of like all of like the movies that centered around them, I'm more attached to them, and I don't really, because like all the people that are becoming main characters now were secondary characters before, so I never really cared about what happened to them.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like, I'm not very interested.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. Okay. So so losing Iron Man was sort of a blow to your interest in the Marvel movies in a certain sense.
Yeah, it was like, well, now what are they going to make movies about?
All right.
Because it's like because the thing is, like, when Captain America gave that guy the shield, I was like, who the heck is this guy? Like, I didn't even, like, it didn't mean anything to me.
But, like, that's interesting, right?
That's because, like, I didn't, like, watch any movies with him in it, I think. Or, like, I don't really remember him being, like, a standout character. So it's like, it didn't really mean anything to me.
Did you say, were you watching some of the Marvel movies, like, a couple months ago? Were you working through some of them? Now that they're on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Okay. Which one did you get up to? Like, where did you kind of end? Or
I went all over. I watched all the ones. I like the ones where all of the Avengers are together. I wasn't so much of a fan of like when they were. Like, that's why I didn't really watch the Captain America movie, because it's just like, I don't think you're funny by yourself. So I'm not gonna watch your movie. Okay,
so you watched Avengers.
I watched all of the Avengers ones. I watched Iron Man 1 and 2. I think the third one did not capture my attention. And then I watched Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, Wonder Woman's now.
Yeah, Wonder Woman CC. What about, did you watch the Captain America Civil War movie where all the characters are in it? Or do you not really think about...
Oh, I did watch that one.
You do? Did you like that one?
I never watched... It was fine. I never watched the Lady Marvel. What's her name?
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, her. I never watched that because I was like, I don't care. Like,
okay.
I don't know. For me, like, I'm kind of lazy where it's like, what I choose to like be a part of a fandom is like, I am too lazy to like learn all of these new people.
Okay.
That's just my thing though.
Is part of it like you paid attention when those movies were coming out, you got invested, but like you're not really up for like getting reinvested in like new characters right now?
Right. Yeah, or it's like when a TV show, like when the original cast leaves and then it's just like the secondary characters are like, now we're the main character. Like when Glee, like all the kids graduated from Glee and it was just like these random people that I didn't care about.
Okay.
That's how I feel
guess,
about Marvel.
yeah, I guess that is kind of a big ask because I've just kind of been in, but right, that is a certain that is a big ask to like care about your characters and then see them like either die or get phased out and have to like I guess you have to choose to care about the new ones or you just kind of fall off it. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. All right, well then I'm gonna take Falcon and the Winter Soldier off of our list. Should I take it off of our
you should.
our possible episode list? Okay, I'll take it off. All right. We have to find something to replace it. All right. Any last thoughts, Ange? Anything you want to...
I saw this thing on TikTok where it was talking about like one of the twins that had visions powers to see the future or whatever, or to read minds. That was Wanda's power. Was it Tommy? There was like a TikTok where it was like, this kid like was probably knew what was going to happen, and it makes it so sad. Did you ever think about that?
So he knew he wasn't going to exist anymore?
Yeah, that's what it was getting at.
That's dark.
Right?
That's dark, yeah.
This was like, if you assume that like this kid had like his parents' power, then he probably knew he was about to get like undoed.
But is that, I don't know, this takes us back in.
Do you think they knew they were gonna die?
But if he is just a if that child is a manifestation of Wanda, does that mean Wanda knew?
What do you mean? Wanda did know her kids were gonna die.
She did?
Wanda.
What do you mean?
You mean like when everything went away, she knew that her kids were going away.
No, but did she know?
And then they went away.
Did she know it was all gonna like turn out like she didn't know because she didn't know who that Agatha was like manipulating stuff, right? Like,
no, I'm talking about the final scene when Wanda's saying goodnight to her kids as the world's like unraveling itself.
Yeah.
And like everyone's all sad.
You're saying the kid knew that was going to happen
in that moment when he was saying goodnight. Yeah, it's super dark, but it's
yeah,
just what
it's dark.
That's my contribution.
Okay. That would be, to know that would be not good. Absolutely.
Nice.
It would be not good. Just this is final question, I promise. What does this change the way that you like, I don't know, did you prefer this? I know it's maybe hard to compare them, right? But like this story versus the story we got in the Vision comic book that we read, does it change your view of that at all?
Dude, I don't even remember that story.
You don't remember at all?
If I'm being honest, the mom killed somebody and a dog. And like, and then like, no, because I thought that was like a completely different story because they're not, Wanda and Vision aren't friends or whatever.
But do you prefer, I don't know, do you have like, did you have a preference for one over the other?
Yeah, the TV show, because I didn't have to read anything.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. With that, everyone, we're going to take a short break and we'll be back in a second.
Wait, am I bringing us back in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're back. So Joey, what's your one shot?
So Sonic, did you see the Sonic movie that came out? I think it was early last year. I think like right as COVID was hitting or like right before. Did you see that?
No, all I saw was the news about how like the internet basically bullied the animation studio to change him.
Yeah. So it was going to come out about a year before, but the first trailer came and people hated the animation, the way the character looked. It was I don't even know if it was Uncanny Valley, but they just sort of put these very human features. I think specifically it was the teeth and the fur also looked very different, but people hated it. So I think they literally spent like a year redoing the animation and the movie came out a year later. But it showed up on Hulu the other day and I was up kind of late doing some work and I was like, oh, I'll just like put this on and, have it in the background, but so like pretty low bar for my enjoyment at that point. But and then and the next day I looked on the internet and like, oh, a lot of people hate that movie. I thought it was like fine and like was actually genuinely laughing at a couple points. It's Ben Schwartz's voice, who we both like. We both love Ben Schwartz, and I think he does a really good job. I think there's like pretty good chemistry between him and know. It might be James Marsden who plays the like cop that he's going around with. I'm not sure, but like I don't know. I think they have a pretty funny back and forth. He's just like always talking, right? It's just like it's constant jokes in the way that like it feels very Ben Schwartz. If you like, if you know his comedy, it's just sort of, it's just running and like something's gonna hit. It's not all gonna hit, but something's gonna hit. And there was some stuff that like genuinely hit for me. I don't know, like people hate it because like Sonic is flossing, but that's actually a moment that I thought was pretty funny when I forget what he did, but he stands there and starts flossing, and it's funny. And
well, now I want to watch it.
I think you would like it. And then Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik is just... I'm not a huge Jim Carrey fan. I never watched The Mask. I never watched Dr. Dolittle. I don't really even know like a Jim Carrey movie. Like,
is he the Grinch?
He is the Grinch. The Grinch. I do like the Grinch. He is the Grinch. It's sort of a very big performance in that sense, right? Where it is like so ridiculous, and he really like goes for it. There's just a straight up scene where he's just dancing, and just like it's a very weird dance. He's like an evil scientist, and he has this ridiculous mustache, and he's like super smart, and he like hates everyone, and so he's always yelling at people, and he has this like assistant who like adores him and is like maybe in love with him, but he just like is constantly berating him. And he's like, at one point the assistant like brings him a latte, and he's like, it has like Austrian like sheep's milk, and he's like happy that he brought it to him, but he yell. I'm not gonna yell right now because people don't want to listen to me yell, but he like yells like, yes, of course I want that, why wouldn't I, it's delicious. Like, it's I don't know, I was laughing, like I was actually laughing at it, and I wasn't expecting to. And the CG is really good. There was only one scene I was like, oh, they're not, like, where I was reminded that it was actually like a completely animated character. He's like, it's towards the end, they like I think it's James Marsden. I'm pretty sure it is, but him and Sonic like kneel down and face each other, and that was the only scene I was like, oh, that composition looks a bit weird. But other than that, like, there wasn't a moment where I was like, oh, this is, because it's like pretty intense animation, or like not intense, but it's like pretty, I imagine it has to be quite difficult because Sonic's whole thing is like speed, right? So they have to like animate the speed, but he also like, he like moves a lot, right? He talks a lot, and he's like a very active character. So I thought they did a great job with it. There's a scene when, so they have to like, I don't know, maybe we should do it. I'm like talking myself into liking this movie. He like takes Sonic and shows up to his sister-in-law's house, and she like freaks out. It's really, really funny.
So why did people not like it?
I don't,
because it was like, was it too funny? Did they want it to be serious? It's like a hedgehog. I
don't know. Do you know anything about like Sonic fandom on the internet?
I've seen some weird stuff.
Yeah, so Sonic fandom on the internet has this reputation for being like, it's okay for fandom to be like a little bit horny, but like super horny into the where like it gets gross and weird. I don't know. Like, that's just like the reputation that I know. I don't know if that's like valid. I don't know if that's earned, or if it just somehow gotten a bad rap. So I think part of it is like internet Sonic fandom has a very bad reputation. And so I don't know if like people were always going to hate this movie, but like I think it sort of, and the fact that like people had that impression like, oh, this animation is bad, and all of the like, so there's a person who watches Sonic flossing and like hates it, like absolutely fucking hates it. And like, I don't, right? So I think there's sort of a lot of things working against this movie, and it doesn't like, it leans into the like jokes and the corniness and the pop culture reference, which drives some people nuts. And like, if you were predisposed to like, if this movie already had a lot of lifting to do because of the animation and because of Sonic fandom, like you're definitely going to get turned off. I don't know. I was looking, it had like lots of like 1 and 2 star reviews, and I was like, I just don't think it was that bad. But
maybe people were just disappointed with how they would have wanted it to be or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you want a Sonic movie to be? Like, it's if you're gonna like adapt,
it wasn't gonna be
game,
a Marvel movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know.
Maybe that's what they wanted.
I don't know what the like expectations are for for what Sonic is. It is a game that like a lot of people love. Like I have fond memories of playing Sonic. That was one of the games that like when I was like very young, like I was allowed to play. I didn't really play Mario. I played Sonic. So, but like, yeah, I was just like, whatever it was like, oh, this would be interesting. But I thought, I don't know. You should watch it. I'd love to hear what you think about it.
I was going to watch it and ask Calvin if he was interested. He said no, but maybe I'll just check it on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely check it out. I would like to hear what you think. Yeah. And they're going to make another one. Like they are making another one. So.
So it couldn't have been that bad then.
Well, it's definitely, yeah, you could definitely show that. I was going to say, it's not like one of those kids movies that you actually can't show to kids. You could definitely, there's nothing like crude or weird in it. So you could definitely show it to kids. So, I think those, if it is aimed at that demographic and parents are comfortable with it in that sense, I think it's always going to like, parents always need to like take their kids, I guess not during COVID, right? Which I don't know how that affected the financials as far as like, parents couldn't take their kids to the theater anymore. But if it did good on like streaming services, or it must have done good enough on streaming services and everything that they thought a second one was worth it. So what's your one shot for the week?
Okay. I've been I started out by reading this Korean webtoon called True Beauty. And they made a K-drama based off of it, so I watched it in like 2 days. And I mean, okay, to be honest, I'm very disappointed with it, but that's what like took up my weekend, so that's what I'm sharing.
What's the name of the webtoon?
True Beauty.
True Beauty. And what's the name of the TV show?
True Beauty.
True Beauty. Okay, so and
it's like directly based off of it,
and it's very like if you've read both of them, like it's pretty true to the original.
They literally use like the comic and like the opening, it's not like a secret,
Okay, yeah.
And the thing is though that the K-drama was maybe 12 or 13 episodes long, but keep in mind that they were like, these episodes are like an hour and 40 minutes long. But the webtoon itself is still like being released, so that was one ending, but there's going to be like actual ending in like the original webtoon that I've been keeping along with, but you have to like pay money to read it early, and I haven't gotten to that point of desperation yet. I'm close though.
How does that work? Is like a webtoon, is that a weekly thing? Is it a monthly thing?
Yeah, it's a weekly thing.
Okay, and like a couple panels, like pages?
No, it's one episode. But like literally like one like episode takes me 2 minutes to read, so it sucks in that sense.
Wait, so is it like a little comic book, or is it more like a cartoon that's in like a newspaper where it's just a couple panels?
It's like between that.
It's between that?
It's hard to tell because it's scrolling, so I don't know how like long it is,
Oh, wait, so
it's an app. It's an app.
And you hit play, and then the panels go past. Oh.
Wait. So it's like manga but Korean.
Okay.
So you read it, and then every week a new like episode comes out for you to read. Yeah.
Is it like panels on a page, or is it like a thing that you scroll? You're scrolling panel to panel.
You scroll from panel to panel.
Okay. Got it. And what's it about? I haven't even asked you what it's about. It's called True Beauty. What's it about?
So it's this girl who's like quote unquote ugly. She's not ugly. She just has a lot of pimples. Like just get some mighty patch and you'd be fine. They didn't have to be this whole thing, but whatever. She thinks she's really ugly. She puts on makeup and then she's like really beautiful, and it's like this whole thing. And then there's like a love triangle, which is the main thing. And there's this boy Soju and Sohu, and they did my boy Soju so bad in the K-drama. Ugh. And also when like the characters don't look like the book, that they don't look like, I guess I can't really expect them to look like cartoon characters, but I feel like they could have done better, because the one guy kind of looks, remember Wishbone? Remember Joe? Wait,
Wishbone, the TV show with the dog?
Yeah.
Joe is just like a pretty normal looking person, right?
Yeah, that's what he looks like.
Oh, okay.
Nobody wants to see that.
Oh. Okay. But what's the, like, in the webtoon, do the characters have distinctive features, and so that if in a TV show you would expect them to look a certain way, or are they pretty just like generic? Or is it very generic? I don't know, round faces, hair, like, is it, I don't know, what is it, colored? Is it black and white? What's the...
It's colored. Hang
okay.
on. Give me a second. This is important to me, so I'm sending you a picture.
Where's the picture? Oh, here
in
we
the
go.
chat.
They're like distinctive looking characters.
Right, but Here, let me show you what they looked like in real life then.
Okay, I was expecting a lot of much more basic characters. No, there's like, they have distinctive looks, absolutely.
Now
You
look
can
at
tell the
what
guy
they
on the
look-
right is sort of like a cool guy with his track jacket and his, I don't know what they're holding,
Piercing
but
makeup, I think.
the guy in the track jacket they're not too far off with that one, are they? I don't think they're too far off.
I guess his face shape is just... I think it's not him. I think his face shape just reminds me of someone I didn't like in middle school. That just might be it.
Oh, okay.
But I really think that the guy on your right looks like Joe from Wishbone.
Oh, okay. I'd have to go back. I haven't thought about
don't worry,
Wishbone
I'm
in a very
showing
long
you.
time. Okay. All right. This is great for a podcast where they can all definitely see what we're looking at.
I think it's the bangs. I think maybe it's just hard to find somebody who looks nice in bangs, you know?
That is very much Joe. Yeah, I see it. I absolutely see it. Yeah. If anyone's interested, look up, what's the character name for the guy from True Beauty?
Suho.
Webtoon's good, but you're disappointed with the adaptation.
Yes, because in the webtoon, the main girl, she dates Track Jacket Dude, Sojin, for like a really long time, but she never dates him in the drama, so it's like... Because there's this love triangle, and then they kind of just let this, like, poor dude just, like, be miserable.
Okay, now I get what you were saying at the end, right? It's weird how they've sort of incorporated the webtoon into their opening, right? They made it so obvious what it's based on, but then to have sort of changed what the story so much. Is that you're saying there's a disconnect?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, yeah, that is weird, especially if you very much want people to be aware that it's based on something else, but you're sort of not respecting, or not even respecting, but you're just not sort of following, or, you know, if your sort of connection to that original thing is literally just that opening and everything else is different than that. That is very weird. And where can you watch the K-drama?
Viki.com.
Icky.com?
Viki. It's like a place where you can watch Asian dramas. I bought a subscription because I got a discount because I'm a student. So now I can watch it ad-free and in HD.
Okay, nice. Viki.com. All right.
But if
cool.
honestly, I maybe wouldn't recommend that. I would watch Goblin instead.
I want to ask you what that about, because that's a much better name. What's that about?
Okay. Oh, it's so good. Okay. So here's what happens. Ancient Korea, there's this dude, General Kim Shin, and there's this envious king. I don't remember his name. He basically kills everybody because he's worried that they're all gonna like Kim Shin more or something. Basically, but because like this Kim Shin guy, he's like a war hero, but he killed a lot of people. So his punishment for dying is that he's not going to die. He instead turns into a goblin who is forced to be immortal until he finds his bride, the goblin's bride, who can pull out a sword from his chest. So then we've got this goblin who's just like a regular man. It's just called a goblin. And then the goblin's bride who's like a girl who like he obviously falls in love with, but then there's this whole thing about like past lives, and like everybody is like reincarnated 4 times, so like you're in your past life. And then there's a Grim Reaper who it's really cool. You're not gonna watch it? I can spoil it, right? It
sounds kind of interesting. Don't spoil it yet. I'm kind of interested. This is
okay. Well, it's really
this
funny,
sounds interesting.
But you're not. Are you gonna watch it? If you watch it, we have to do a podcast about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm gonna at least watch an episode.
Okay, fine. Your homework is to watch an episode then. Then I'm not gonna talk about it anymore.
Okay. The Goblin.
Goblin. It's called Goblin, the Lonely and Great God.
That's a great title. No, yeah, definitely. That is...
Apparently it makes a lot of people cry. I didn't cry, because I'm strong.
Is it called Guardian or Goblin?
Goblin, the Lonely and Great God.
I think in the West, the title's Guardian, the Lonely and Great God. And in Korea, according to Wikipedia, could be wrong. According to Wikipedia, in Korea, the name is Goblin, the Lonely Shining God.
Yeah.
But in the West,
like, the thing is, like, a goblin, he's also, like, doubles as a guardian for, like, this girl. So, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, yeah.
You should read the synopsis?
No, because it might spoil it for me.
No, well, it's the synopsis.
Well, yeah, but if it says what happens at the end.
It doesn't.
Yeah, no, this sounds... He doesn't look like a goblin, though.
No, he looks like a man.
Oh, okay. I was kind of hoping for. Does he ever transform into like a?
There's no grim moments. Sorry. Then can I
All right,
spoil
I
it
was
for
kind of
you?
hoping for that. No, I'm still gonna watch an episode, but I was kind of hoping for like an actual goblin type character. But that's okay.
Fair enough. This
I
has
think
been
that
a
should bring
long
us to
one.
the end of the show. Yeah, this has definitely been one of our longer ones. I think we'll go over an hour, which we haven't done in a while, which is fine. Social links. You can follow Angela on Instagram at glow.angela. You can also follow her for some more bullet journaling focused posts at ijune_. That's IJOONE_. You can follow me on Twitter at Joey Glowacki. That's JoeyGlowacky. The music you heard in this episode is a cover of the song Concerning Hobbits. The music you heard in this episode is a Lof-Fi remix of the song Concerning Hobbits by PatrickMoonBird. You can find their music on Spotify and SoundCloud. Please rate and review the episode on Apple Podcasts or your preferred podcast listening app. You can also email the show by sending your messages to podcast@comicsly.com. All reviews and messages would be greatly appreciated. That is us for another week, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you back here next week. Have a good one.